Hi, in this video I'm going to discuss the motivators or reinforcement or rewards in positive reinforcement training. So according to recent science and research in animal learning, positive reinforcement is the most effective way of training our dogs. So positive reinforcement means adding anything to increase the likelihood of the behavior happening again. This is because dogs learn by association. So it means that they quickly link the behavior they present with the consequences, which is our reward presented after the behavior. So in terms of different motivators, there are different types. One of the most common one is food that we offer when we train our dogs. So when we consider food as a reward, we need to remember about different food sensitivities that different dogs may be susceptible to. So it's always very important to check the ingredients on the ingredient list on the package if there is no allergen there for our dogs. Another important factor is weight gain here. So again, when the intensity of the training is quite high, when we offer a lot of food during the day, perhaps it would be a good idea to take away the corresponding portion from the breakfast and dinner, but not too much to stress our dogs, but just prevent the weight gain that may have a very negative impact in the long run on their health. Another thing we need to remember is to try different types of food to check what sort of value our dog attached to them, because we want this high value treats to keep for specific training that we want our dogs always to be reliable, like recall, for example. So we could check treats, for example, varying from cocktail sausages, dehydrated fish, venison, or duck's breast, or perhaps some pate squeezed out of the tube. Finally, the food delivery is also very important and needs to be appropriate for the situation. So when we teach loose lead walking, we would prefer to feed our dog from the hand to create this kind of continuity of movement when the dog follows us. However, just to make it a bit more fun when we're out and about with our dogs, we can toss treats on the floor and include another fun factor, or perhaps another reward aspect here. It's sniffing whilst finding the treats on the floor, or include toys like puzzle games and food, which is also brain stimulating for them. Another very common type of training motivators are toys. They need to be age and health appropriate, so perhaps it's worth remembering to avoid any sort of ball throwers or very sudden movement, jerky movements for dogs that are still immature puppies, that the joints are not actually ready yet for this kind of activities, or any dogs with hips or joint problem, elderly dogs. What we also may consider is breed specific behaviors. So perhaps choose some toys that our dogs would love the most. So most terriers would love some kind of taggy toys, whereas perhaps retrievers or any herding dogs would love to chase the ball, retrieve a ball. Most dogs love balls that I know of. Some dogs will love a squeaky toy as well. And this one, which I personally like to use in the summer, is a toy which can be filled with water, put in the freezer, and just after the walk, it can help our dogs to cool a little bit and also gently massage the gums, which can be also useful for teething puppies. So what we need to remember when we use toys is they need to be safe. So perhaps avoid a very small ball that can cause a choking hazard, or any sort of toys that are falling apart and can be, or bits of them can be ingested by our dogs, lead to some health issues, or any sort of toys that have the potential of leading to any resource guarding behaviors. Another type of very common reward is praise. However, praise needs to be first linked with food, so our puppies and our dogs learn what praise really means. And then this can be very useful when we don't have food or a toy, when we out and about and we want to reinforce certain behaviors. Also, what we can use is a cuddle, as long as our dogs enjoy being touched by humans. Not every dog is enjoying human touch, or perhaps it's not very rewarding for them. So we must not forget also about life rewards, which are very easy to implement, but also they need to be used in specific situations. So, for example, these would include swimming, retrieving games, sniffing, running, chasing a squirrel. Another type of reinforcers are mechanical clickers or verbal markers. So these are used to mark the very behavior in the moment it's happening and after we present a reward. So the timing here is very important. So the behavior needs to happen when we catch the behavior with a click or a yes, then straight after we present food or a toy or whatever we want reward. So the markers are only meaningful for the dogs when they actually learn the sequence and then they were rewarded. So the clicking itself becomes rewarding, or marking it later in the process of training is rewarding for the dog. It's very important to hide for example, if you use food, hide the food from the dogs. Don't hold it in the hand, because then obviously the dog may learn that if we don't have any food presented, it may refuse to present certain behaviors. So sequence of the events here is very important: behavior, marking, and rewards. Also, when the behavior becomes quite strong and reliable, we don't have to reward it each time. This is kind of like a gambling effect on dog's brain, or like human's brain. We don't know when we win, when the reward comes again. So the dogs are more motivated to perform the behaviors. And the final thoughts are, obviously, we need to select the type of reinforcement appropriate for the situation. So sometimes if the dog is overstimulated, they are not likely to accept food as a reward. Again, we need to, for example, when we offer life rewards, we need to make sure the environment is safe for our dogs to be rewarded in this way. And finally, for me, when it comes to recall, my dog is rewarded every time in all situations, because I would like my dog's recall to be 100% reliable. Whenever I call him, he is always super happy to come to me